supplies. He searched the entire building and found no one there, but the vending machines were full of food. 20 minutes later, he made a second round. He noticed that the locker room door had been closed. Maybe he had done it himself. He wasn't sure. He let it go and started checking every room on the second floor. He wasn't interested in the storage room. The second room was a fairly nice office with a fold-out bed inside. The window bars were sturdy, and the view was good. The city water system was still working. The next room had a coffee maker, a microwave, and a portable gas stove. The gas stove was very important. If the city lost power, that would be his only way to heat food. Next, he decided to break into the vending machines. All he had to do was unscrew the side panels, and he could take everything out. Snacks and drinks have long shelf lives, so he wasn't in a hurry to eat them. The second machine was refrigerated and contained sandwiches and salads. Those had short shelf lives and would spoil quickly if the power went out, so he would eat those first. He emptied all 4 vending machines and sorted everything by expiration date. He needed to move it all up to the second floor. Then came another important task, the 40 metal lockers in the locker room. Besides checking inside for anything useful, the lockers themselves could be used as a barrier to block the stairs leading up from the first floor. By himself, he started the heavy labor. He lost count of how many trips he made up and down. Halfway through, he changed the bandage on his wound and started moving the lockers. This made a lot of noise. The metal lockers scraped loudly against the concrete steps. He kept looking out the window. Luckily, no zombies were heading his way. He went to the water dispenser by the pool, took a sniff to make sure the water was drinkable, then found a bunch of empty bottles. That solved his short-term water problem. The rest of the food and drinks were neatly stacked in the nice office. The stairwell was just wide enough to fit a locker sideways. The lockers got slightly bent from being wedged in, which actually made the barrier even stronger. To get from the first floor to the second, someone would have to push through several hundred kilograms of metal. But he decided not to block the other staircase completely. He needed to leave himself an escape route, just in case. Next, he needed to cover all the glass. The glass couldn't stop intruders, but at least he could block the light from getting out. He covered the entire glass wall, leaving only 2 small gaps to observe through. From the second floor, he could see everything happening on the first floor. With both stairways blocked, he finally felt truly safe. He leisurely heated up a cup of coffee, and used the microwave to warm up some rice, fried chicken, and a salad. He hadn't had a hot meal in 2 days. Before that, all he ate were energy bars and crackers. By the time he was full, it was already evening. Looking through the blinds, he saw several zombies outside walking in the same direction. The closest one was less than 20 meters away, its skin gray, its neck twisted. Luckily, none of them turned right. If they had turned right, they would have come to the building's main entrance, which was all glass. He crouched by the observation gap and looked down. The first floor was empty, but the front entrance was wide open. They hadn't come in today, but that didn't mean they wouldn't tomorrow. He had to finish the refrigerated items within 3 days. If the power went out, the portable stove's fuel was limited. The second floor and blocked off every staircase leading up, leaving only one necessary entrance. The exhausting work left him extremely tired. When he woke up, he expected to be sore all over, but he didn't feel anything. He checked the wound on his hand. It hadn't healed. It was grayish white and he couldn't feel any pain. That was strange. He went to the break room and started the coffee machine. The city's power was still on, but there were brief flickers. He didn't know how much longer the electricity would last. While he still could, he heated up some boxed rice and 2 pieces of fried chicken. After 2 bites, he didn't want any more. It was the same as yesterday, but yesterday he had finished every bite. He opened the window and saw more infected outside than the day before. Luckily, none had entered the building. The front door was wide open. They could come in any time. The man kept a daily journal. He wrote down everything he knew, then went to wash his hands. The water flow was weaker than yesterday, not because the faucet was broken, but because the city system was failing. Looking at the flickering lights, he realized he needed to stock up on fresh water while the filtration system still worked. He moved aside the barrier at the exit. He had checked and the coast was clear below, but he still needed to fill up fast and get back upstairs. The water was still clean. He started filling a bucket. Halfway through, a sound came from the main entrance. The echo startled him. Through the doorway, he saw a person standing there, backlit so he couldn't make out the face. The person wore a backpack and walked normally, but the man grabbed the bucket and ran up to the second floor without hesitation. The stranger had broken the lock, meaning infected could now enter the first floor anytime. The man spilled half his drinking water on the way but didn't stop. He dragged a locker back to block the entrance, making a loud noise, then leaned against it to rest. Strangely, his heart wasn't beating fast. After all that exertion, he should have been out of breath. He looked down through the observation gap. The stranger was trying to push open the barrier, but it was useless. The lockers together weighed hundreds of kilograms. The stranger stood in the lobby and started shouting for help. From his voice, he didn't seem infected, but the man didn't plan to respond. He had too many supplies and wouldn't test a stranger's character with them. He looked out the window. There were more infected on the road than yesterday. Many lights were on toward the harbor, maybe a large survivor camp. He wasn't sure. He checked on the stranger again. The man was doing the same things the man had done earlier, checking the vending machines and water dispenser in the lobby, then sitting on a chair, rubbing his face and in frustration. That was when the man noticed the wound on the stranger's hand. It was grayish-white, just like his own. The stranger crouched by the pool, looked at something, turned away, then came back and crouched again. He seemed very anxious. It was almost dark. The man looked down again. The stranger was lowering his head, swaying irregularly, then started pacing around the pool. Then a strange growl came from his throat. It made the man's skin crawl. The front door was open. The stranger's shouting and growling would carry outside and might attract other infected. To be safe, the man wedged a solid wooden table against the door, then closed the office door. He could no longer hear the noise from the lobby, but he could feel the floor subtly vibrating. The boxed lunch from the morning was still on the table, but it felt like it was from a long time ago. The lights had gone out at some point. The man thought about the wound on the stranger's hand, the same grayish-white as his own. Maybe he had been injured 2 days later than the stranger. He looked out the window. A dozen infected were walking in the same direction. Back at the observation gap, several infected had already entered the first-floor lobby. The man closed the door with a heavy heart. He knew the inevitable would come. Nothing inside this room had changed. What had changed was the world outside.